I'm Brad Apicella with Apicella Designs, and I'm here to show you this 1953 Ultimate 3100 pickup we built for Tim and Aurelia Gilmore. This truck's been in Tim's family for a long time. He had it in high school, sold it, bought it back, had it redone a handful of years ago, and so he brought it to us to do his final iteration of his Ultimate 3100 pickup. When we got into this truck, he brought it out. He had paid years back to have someone go through and repair all the rust and do all the stuff. So, you know, when him and his wife dropped it off, they said, you know, I think this thing's pretty good, just needs your touch to get it over the finish line. Well, we quickly found out that this truck needed almost every panel repaired. We had seen where there was almost ½ inch to 3/4 inch of Bondo in here, or body filler, to make it smooth. And that things like the vents that would have been here, the louvers, were actually just hammered down and spot welded together and Duraglassed over. It's pretty incredible that the thing looked as good as it did when we got it for what was underneath. You know, the bones were really rough on this one. We had to go through and repair things from, like, we replaced this whole back panel. It had been banged up so bad that we had to cut it off the truck and replace it. We had to go through and refix all the shaved panels that were on here before, and things like replaced both cowl panels, and the fenders had countless hours of metal work to get them back to, you know, the bones that we could build on to make this truck. So what really makes this truck special is what's under the hood. This thing has a 632 cubic inch tall deck blueprint racing big block Chevy engine. Over 800 horsepower, over 10 liters of displacement. It's backed by a 4-speed automatic with overdrive. Some really cool things under the hood on this to help make it all work together is we added our tucked radiator. This is something special to Apicella Designs, and we had it made for us. And what it does is it moves the radiator from being out in the open behind here on the core support, and we actually shrunk it down, made it a little bit thicker, so we had a similar volume cooling capacity, and we were able to push it forward. That does a lot of things for us. It gains us a lot more room for your front drive system to the radiator, especially to fit something like this big block in there, but we use them on all sorts of things, from small blocks to whatever you want. This will put it in here. And this truck really was a torture test to see, can these handle, you know, that much horsepower and that much displacement, and it's worked flawlessly. It has a brushless Sparc cooling fan. They are infinitely variable, so it'll run from 10% up to 100, depending on what the engine needs to stay cool. So nice part is when you're at a stoplight, you're not fans full blast if it doesn't need it. Another cool thing, this has a full vintage air front runner. Very nice. You know, this has a high output alternator. It's a billet. It's actually all billet. You know, the structure of it, and we used all of Vintage Air's cool lines over here. We loomed them, just try to make it look nice. Another notable feature is this chassis has Wilwood's their hot rod style disc brakes. So we did the Wilwood billet master cylinder, painted the vacuum reservoir on there. This one, since these big blocks don't make a lot of vacuum, we actually ran a remote vacuum pump on this guy to make sure they had enough vacuum to power the brakes to stop this beast. The wheels on this truck are Raceline billets. They're 20 by 8 in the front, 20 by 12 in the rear. They're wrapped in Michelin Pilot Cup Sport tires. That's a really special tire. They come standard on things like Porsche GT2 RS and hypercars and supercars, and that's really what this thing needed to keep, you know, traction to the rear tires with 800 plus horsepower under the hood. Some other cool features on this one is you'll notice our Apicella Designs, you know, billet badges. All of our Ultimate trucks wear this badge, and it just kind of tells people like what the truck is, who made it, and it's something that we love that customers are proud to have on their truck. It's got a nice swan neck, billet mirror. It's kind of era correct and or period correct. They look like they could have came stock on this, and definitely a lot cleaner than the big arms that would have came out originally like on a farm truck. Another cool feature on this one is this has shaved you know, window trim here. This normally would be a bolt-on piece that you would see the lip and the different variations. That got shaved, welded smooth, and body worked out. And we also shaved the rain gutters on this one. 51 to 53 Chevy pickups all had wing windows and push-button door handles. This one's kind of cool that we removed the wing window and went to a one-piece glass, which gives you a better view of the interior, less obstructions while you're driving. This has our Apicella Designs radius bed corners. This is a kit we sell that just really finishes off these trucks. These would have just been a rolled tube and an open, you know, open end. So this goes on and caps the ends, and we utilize on this one on the front and the back of the truck. We shaved the rivets off the fender down here So this would have had 2 rivets that hold a brace in there. As we go around the back a little more, you'll see we got our radius bed corners here. This one has a cool roll pan on it that we stretched down a little bit to allow our Putco blade light to go in there, and makes for a very bright LED light, has turn signals integrated, but when it's off, especially on this black cherry truck, you don't even notice it's there. Another really cool feature is this Marquee push button tailgate. This has become standard on basically all of our Ultimate trucks, but it has a billet push button, and then it has links down here on the side instead of the chains and leather straps. So you just push the button and it works, you know, just like it's supposed to. Paint and body on this truck was done by our good friends at Gino's Customs here in Phoenix, Arizona. They used a PPG product called DBC or Deltron to get this really cool black cherry color where it looks jet black in some light, but it will look black cherry in others. He went through, after all the metal work we had to do, he had his job cut out for him to go through and smooth this thing over and make it look as shiny and smooth as it does now. Hundreds of hours to get this thing to this state, but we're very thankful that he got it looking this good. The bed on this truck is pretty cool. It's got an aluminum bed floor. So this is an aluminum extrusion with stainless steel strips that actually have a vinyl graphic on them that look just like wood. This one's called African Limba. Goes really good with the black cherry, but the nice part with these is you don't have to worry about maintaining it. You know, it's basically a sticker. It's a long-term vinyl wrap. You don't have to go through and seal it or varnish it. You don't have to worry about it shrinking or cracking. And if you ever want to change it, we peel it off and you put a new sticker right back on it. Another cool thing on this bed is you'll notice these wheel tubs are pretty small, but they're pretty wide. We were able to do that because the whole bed floor was raised up. This has a really special TCI chassis underneath it that needed a little more clearance to get it as low as it is. So instead of doing a notch and going over the axle and all that, we decided to just move the bed floor up and make it nice and smooth. So this truck is a little special and unique from a lot of our Ultimate trucks. We did a tilt bed on this. This is one of TCI's, it's almost a hybrid between their Pro-Touring and their Custom IFS. This one has what's called their torque arm suspension in the rear instead of a 4-link. So it has a big arm that goes underneath the rear axle up on the chassis that can handle a lot of horsepower basically. This one's set up with a Currie F9 fabricated housing. This one has the True Track posi unit in it. Another really cool feature on this one that a lot of guys maybe haven't ever seen is this has what's called their show package. All the link bars in the back are polished along with the Ridetech coilovers. Has a lot of chrome hardware on it. The front control arms are actually polished to match. We did a 21-gallon Apicella Designs fuel cell. Has an in-tank fuel pump, tube-style fuel level sender, so you're not going down the road and watching your gauge go up and down like the old float styles. This is actually a special tank we do just for this notched chassis because, as you can see, it's notched up and in. So it allows us to run a wider wheel, being a 12-inch wide on the back of this is why we had to run the wheel tubs. And it also is notched up to allow us to go lower. So this truck can really sit low if you want it to. One of the cool things that allowed us to do this lift bed is these LS Fabrication scissor hinges. They're stainless steel. I think they're laser cut, but they are just really premium quality, and they allow us to, have a pretty solid surface to mount to lift this thing up. And then we put gas struts on here, so you're not messing with prop rods or anything else. It's got a bear claw latch and a couple of poppers to get it up so you can get your hand under it. And you can also see here the aluminum extrusion of the bed floor. That's from Smoky Road Rod Shop, and very, very cool thing that, like I said, no maintenance, just make sure it, wipe it off and keeps looking good. The interior on this truck is pretty simplistic, but he wanted to make sure that people knew it was a next level build. We have this really nice Snowden bench seat, nice kind of chevron pattern in there. We built these door panels, and as you can see, there's no hardware on the door panels themselves. We actually use magnets to hold those on. We did what we call a low boy console. You're still able to slide the seat over top of it, integrated the shifter in there, and also has room for your cooler cup or whatever you're driving around in. Another cool feature on this guy is the Sparc Industries steering wheel. This is actually machined from billet aluminum. It's called the 3100. It pays tribute to the original style one, but it's shrunk down because these trucks have modern power steering. You don't need the big 15 or 16-inch steering wheel because you're not having a saw on it. The gauges in this guy are the Dakota Digital RTX series. That's their retro gauge set. It looks very similar to original, but also has a screen down in there where you can see a lot of the features, like if you want tire pressure monitors, or you have a boost gauge, or whatever you want to see, you can have those stats showing, so you can make sure that your motor's running cool, that you're seeing your oil pressure. Whatever you want to see, you can see on those. The dash in this truck is a LS fabrication. Same guys we talked about earlier that do the scissor hinges. They're based out of Canada, and they just put out some really primo products on this. Next up on this, we have this retro radio. You know, Tim wanted this to look like it could have came that way, you know, when he used to have this thing. He was driving it to high school or around town. So this radio looks like a vintage one, but it also has Bluetooth. It has hands-free, you know, calling, and XM radio. You know, you can add all the modern amenities, but still look like an OEM type, you know, head unit up there. Under the seat, we've got two 10-inch Rockford Fosgate subwoofers and a nice Rockford Fosgate amplifier behind the seat. Up front, we had some size constraints, so we went with a speaker called a Morel Nano, and it's a carbon fiber cone speaker that's only about 3/4 of an inch thick, so we're able to almost flush mount it to our nice kick panels down here. The AC in this truck is actually a vintage air unit. It's their Magnum series, large high output or high capacity, but the vintage air controls are down there, and you've got things like a USB port on the dash, and just all the modern amenities you could want, but you know, tucked away and looking nice and clean. I really want to thank everyone that helped me get this thing to the state it is now, especially Tim and Aurelia Gilmore for letting us build their ultimate Chevy 3100. Our guys in the shop here really kicked butt, got this thing done. All of our friends along the way, from guys like Gino's Customs to, you know, all of our supporting vendors and sponsors like Rockford Fosgate, TCI Chassis, Raceline Wheels, you know, the list goes on and on. And without all their awesome products and the skill of the guys in the shop, we wouldn't be able to build trucks this caliber. And I can't wait for you guys to see this thing driving around Southern California. And if you want to see more, you can check us out on the website, adcustoms.com or apicelladesigns.com, and follow us on Instagram at Apicella Designs to see what else we're working on, because there's always cool Ultimate 3100 trucks in the works.